All right, the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Mr. Akbaruddin, about to begin and give the latest on the plan, the strategy really that is now in force to bring the 46 Indian nurses back home. We have learnt through the day through our sources that they have now reached the safe zone of Kurdistan and they are likely to be brought back by a special plane being sent. This is the first official communication coming in from the government of India. Let's listen in. Per the plans that we have learned from our sources, then that flight should leave sometime this evening, taking some officials, Indian officials, all the way to Erbil. Erbil is the capital of Kurdistan, and then bring them back sometime by 7 in the morning tomorrow to Kochi. So we're certainly hoping for that. The big reassuring news that has been coming in is that the nurses are well. I think he should be speaking any moment now.
My apologies. Good evening, friends, and thank you for being here this afternoon. It's been a day of dramatic developments. It's been a day when we started with some of you thinking that we were moving towards a hopeless end. But there were others like us who were full of endless hope. Ultimately, it is hope that has triumphed. I can confirm to you that those Indian nurses who were yesterday moved against their will are now free. They are in touch with our embassy officials who are positioned in Erbil for just this eventuality. We had envisaged this earlier and therefore had sent our officials from Baghdad to Erbil to ensure that if this option was going to happen, they would be available for them to receive them. They are now in contact with those Indian nurses. The process is underway for their return to India. Now, this process didn't happen just like that. It happened because there were an enormous amount of effort that was put in both within Iraq and outside Iraq. We haven't shared those details with you previously for the simple reason that when there is an operation underway, we can't share those details. Yet, some of you thought this was a hopeless situation. Let me tell you, there are no hopeless situations. There are only people who have grown hopeless about situations. The success that we have had in extricating those 46 Indian nationals makes us redouble our efforts for those who still are in captivity. And I can confirm to you that as of yesterday, we have received confirmed reports of them still being in captivity. As regards those 46 nurses, our estimation is that they will move to Erbil tonight. Even as we speak, an Air India plane has taken off from New Delhi and we expect it to land late tonight, following which it is expected that the 46 nurses along with 70 others who have come to Erbil from Kirkuk will be brought back. The plane will first fly to Kochi and will drop the nurses there. And if there are any who would want, the nearest airport is Delhi, they would come to Delhi. So we will have the first stop from Erbil to Delhi, to Kochi, and following which, if required, to Delhi. A senior Indian diplomat a Joint Secretary level officer is on that plane, and he will ensure the coordination between us and the Kurdish authorities as well as aviation authorities. I'd like to share something with you, and that is to repeat the plea that I made last time, and that is, it's time now for us to turn to each other and not on each other. Friends, please have hope and faith that the government is doing all it can to ensure the return of Indian nationals in extremely difficult circumstances. These are circumstances where conventional tools of diplomacy no longer exist on the ground, because these are conflict areas. So we are working at two levels. There is one level where the External Affairs Minister herself is leading the diplomatic effort, and that is, she is interacting with a host of her counterparts. Some of you have written today that she is in touch with a certain group of counterparts. Let me tell you that the engagements and the interactions of the External Affairs Minister go far beyond what has been written, because for us, we do not want to make public what is our diplomatic effort at the international level. In fact, the number of discussions that she has had, in fact, are perhaps 3 to 4 times what is being written about. At this stage, there are other issues on the ground, and we are unable to share those details with you. We will certainly share with you once the entire picture is clear. At this stage, we have succeeded in extricating 46 of our nationals from the zone of conflict, but there remain several others. And those of you who are following us are aware that there remain a significant number who are still in the zone of conflict. We are working on those. In fact, the resources that now get freed from this effort are now being pushed into that other effort. Let me assure you that we will leave no stone unturned in trying to get back our nationals from an extremely difficult position where, as I said, on the ground, conventional instrumentalities of diplomacy are not available. Yet, we are in contact using very unconventional methods. All I can tell you is have trust, have faith. Ultimately, waiting and hoping is the best that we can do in these that you can do in these circumstances. And my plea to you is, please do not run stories which have no factual basis. This morning it was extremely disturbing to see a quotation from a person who was in captivity. Obviously, when people are in captivity, they would say a lot of things. But to highlight that and to try and thrash whatever hope is left is hardly the best way of trying to help our nationals. So may I request you again, please do not turn on each other. Let's try and work together. I will answer any questions that you have on any of these aspects. Thank you. Yes, Ashish?
सर, क्या आज आप इस सिचुएशन में हैं कि हमें बता सकें कि क्या ये वाकई आईएसआईएस के लोग थे जिन्होंने इनको कब्जे में रखा था हिंदुस्तानियों को, और क्या इनकी कुछ शर्तें भी माननी पड़ी हमें सर इनके रिलीज को सिक्योर करने के लिए?
आशीष, जैसे कि आप जानते हैं और मैंने बताया है कि 46 लोग निकल चुके हैं कब्जे से, लेकिन कई और कब्जे में हैं। तो आप थोड़ा धैर्य रखिए, थोड़ा धीरज रखिए। As I said, please wait and hope with all of us that we will be able to succeed in this endeavor. It's a national endeavor, it's not an individual or a group. So please wait. Once this is over, we are willing to share information like I've shared now with you, that the contacts were not only at the diplomatic level, they were very extensive at the diplomatic level. Some have proved successful. Also, at the ground level, there are contacts underway. So, it is a multiplicity of contacts that help in such an endeavor, and be rest assured, all those are underway. India, after all, has friends not only in Iraq, but outside Iraq. Be rest assured that the support that we are getting from within and outside is very substantial. Yes, sir.
सर, जैसा कि आपने कि जिन लोगों की मदद से ये सब कुछ संभव हो पाया, उन लोगों को आप एक बार फिर मतलब यूज करेंगे ताकि 39 इंडियंस की भी वापसी हो, तो हम कह सकते हैं कि दोनों ग्रुप जो है वो एक ही लोगों ने उनको अपने कब्जे में रखा था।
देखिए, बेहतर है कि इस बारे में कुछ देर बाद आप सवाल करें, कौन किसको कब्जे में रखा है आज, ये दिस इज नॉट प्रॉपर फॉर मी टू रिस्पॉन्ड. I can tell you they are in captivity. We are aware of the captors. We are engaged on the ground and at a diplomatic level on all these aspects. At this stage, our primary goal is to ensure that they are brought out of captivity. This is a war situation. We do not have, again let me repeat, we do not have the capabilities that ordinarily you would have in a situation where there is no conflict. These are extremely tenuous links that we are building. Anything that we do to undermine them is not going to help us in the long run. So at this stage, as we build those tenuous links and linkages, please be rest assured that every effort is being done. And I will not get into who are the captors, because once this is done, we will reveal all those elements to you, and you will have a clearer picture. Like you had trust in us yesterday, and I'm grateful for those of you who had trust. Please have trust yet again. We are working on this. Yes, ma'am. Anita.
सैयद, सबसे पहले तो बहुत मुबारक देना चाहूंगी आपको कि इतनी बड़ी उपलब्धि आपको मिली, और इस रिलीज से जो 39 लोग हैं उनकी फैमिली को भी बहुत उम्मीदें जागी होंगी. आप बार बार कहते हैं कि हमारे उनके साथ कांटेक्ट है. ये कांटेक्ट आपका ISIS के साथ है या उनसे भी बातचीत होती है टू कंसोल देयर फैमिली?
देखिए, हम जानते हैं कि हाउ वरीड दोज फैमिली मेंबर्स आर, बिकॉज दे आर इन रेगुलर टच विद अस, एंड we understand the circumstances that they are going through. All we can do is to counsel them, to try and work with them, rather than get involved in, at this stage, a public display of where we are. And what little success that we have achieved, we have still a long way to go. We are not satisfied with this outcome, and we will not be satisfied until we reach the culmination of this effort. As I said, we are using now all the tools that will be freed up from the present effort to redouble our efforts on the other effort. And in that, may I request all of you to please join in this collective effort. Please don't turn on us. Let me repeat again. Let us turn to each other. Let us not turn towards on each other. Yes, sir. Sachin?
So would it be possible to reveal exactly when and from whom did the government first get to know that the nurses were going to be released, since we had beforehand sent officials there to receive them?
Let me tell you, we were always in contact with what was happening. Yesterday evening, even while many of you had said that when they sat in the bus there was contact loss, I indicated to you at that stage that we had got in touch last evening. We remained in touch all through. We have other means to keep in touch other than the means that some of you are adopting. And it is normal for governments to have other tools at their disposal, and those tools are, as I said, national assets, and all national assets are being used in this endeavor. Yes, sir.
Sir, what were the conditions or demands put forward by these insurgents to release Indian nurses?
When a situation is underway, you would please understand that we are not able to say who said, what was said, where it was said, and how it was said. This is an ongoing situation, a situation where we won a small little battle. However, there is a war still on, and we are engaged in that. So, we are not resting on any achievement that have happened, and please understand that anything that we say possibly may impact on other elements, and therefore understand that I will not be able to say who we worked with, what we worked at, how we worked it, and when we worked on that. Yes, Amrita?
Could you give us a sense of whether the nurses, their state of health and being, and also is there going to provide any sort of counselling or that sort of facility to them?
My understanding is that the nurses are all safe, unharmed, unhurt. Obviously, they've gone through a traumatic experience, and therefore, it will be our endeavour that once they are in civilian areas, then if there are local facilities to provide to assist them, we will certainly do. We are also making arrangements for their comfort and their well-being, but we expect that this is going to be a short duration, and therefore the best antidote for them is to be with their near and dear, and that's the antidote that we are working on, and we hope the balm of being with their friends and family would be the best solution for their travails. Yes, sir. Yes.
Did the NSA had any role in these negotiations with?
Pardon?
Did the National Security Advisor had any role in these negotiations?
I explained to you two things. One is, at the diplomatic level, these negotiations were involving the External Affairs Minister herself. At the ground level, obviously, we will not be able to share, and I had repeated it previously, because diplomacy works through the front door. I had said we are using other doors, and how those doors were used and knocked on, how they were opened up, is a story for another day. The story for today is that one of those doors opened and we were able to extricate our nationals and bring them, hopefully we will bring them back tomorrow. Yes, Anchal?
If it's possible, several engagements with several of the Gulf counterparts. Could you give us the name of a few countries, or at what levels have these been made?
The External Affairs Minister extensively interacted with her counterparts. These, certainly I am not disputing that she interacted with her counterparts in the Gulf, but what I'd like to say is that this didn't start yesterday. This process has been underway for quite some time. While you have seen the light of this process, or sort of the tip of the iceberg this morning, there has been a lot of groundwork done over the last several days, and the External Affairs Minister did contact those who are identified there, but she has contacted many more. And at this stage, I think, because these contacts are also related to those who are in difficult situations right now, because the difficulties of a major nature for the nurses are perhaps much more recent compared to the difficulties that others were facing, and therefore she was initially also working on those areas. At this stage, therefore, I cannot share with you how she is approaching this, how India as a country is approaching this at the diplomatic level. Suffice to say that there is extensive diplomatic contact at a very, very senior level, led by the External Affairs Minister, also at other levels, at a diplomatic level. At the ground level, you would appreciate it's best we don't get into who, where, when, what, and how things are happening. Obviously, you're all very intelligent people and know that things don't happen just like that. And that's the takeaway I'd like you to take from here, that things, when they happen, there is a lot of effort that has gone behind it. There is a lot of patience, there is a lot of quiet work that is being undertaken. In fact, if anybody has seen, virtually the External Affairs Minister is like 24 hours focused on this. Because this is a national endeavor where our nationals, irrespective of which state they are from, are in extreme difficulties. My understanding is yesterday she was to go to Bhopal, and then she went to the airport when this news came in of them being asked to move from where they were, and she had to cancel that and come back to chair meetings again in the evening. Some of you have written that there is a meeting or there is a group which look like that it has met once. Let me tell you, External Affairs Minister chairs a very high-level group every day, on a regular basis, or virtually every day, if not every day. There is another group which is chaired by Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs, Mr. Wadhwa, and that meets twice a day perhaps, and if they want further instructions, they are in touch with the External Affairs Minister. So the point is that there is a graduated system in place where we are working assiduously, quietly, but with enormous effort, that we can't place that pyramidal group out in the public domain. Some of you have sometimes caught one or two of their members coming out of South Block and said, oh, this met once. But let me assure you, it met even just now. And that's why I came a little late, because we wanted to get a sense of where we are after what has happened. Yes, ma'am.
I understand that this kind of a situation where conventional tools of diplomacy did not work, as you said, may have been a huge learning experience for the Indian government. Would it be possible for you to share at this stage what are the lessons that we learned from this?
I think lessons learned, as you are aware, is an exercise that one undertakes at the end of a process. We are in the midst of that process. You would appreciate that a lesson learned exercise is essential, it's a requirement, and it is what we will certainly undertake. But at this stage, all our efforts are to ensure that those who are still in captivity become free citizens and normal people. Yes, Sir Vishal?
So the 39 Indians who are still captive, are they being held captive by a different set of captors?
Vishal, I do understand your desire to know this bit of information. How does that change the ground level situation, except for those who are involved in this task? I mean, how that they are in captivity is important for you to know. That we are aware of who their captives are is a reassuring thing that you would like to know. But at this stage, if we are to break down all these into smaller segments, you will only undermine our efforts. So please, let me repeat, we will not say how we are operating, with whom, where, and when. So please understand this. This is an operation still underway, and I seek your understanding and support in this. After all, we are all in this effort together, and every bit of work that you can do to help this out, we would be extremely grateful about. Yes, sir.
You mentioned it's been a dramatic day between yesterday and today. How many times was the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office briefed between yesterday and today? And if you can just also throw some light on what's been their response and their role.
I think you're new here. I never talk about inter-ministerial issues. We try and focus on the diplomatic aspects. And I would certainly share that information, but I can tell you the Prime Minister is hands-on all the time. Those of you who are following are aware of it. But I will not get into those details because it is not my practice to go down that path, because if I go down that path once, you will ask me similar things on other issues. So please understand. Yes, sir.
सर कल तक उनको मूव किए जाने से पहले तक हम पिछले 10 दिन से आपसे सुनते रहे हैं कि नर्स अस्पताल में हैं, सेफ हैं, उन पर कोई खतरा नहीं है। तो इन 10 दिन की विंडो का हमने क्यों फायदा नहीं उठाया और उनको कल की नौबत क्यों आने दी गई? उससे पहले उनको क्यों सेफ रेस्क्यू क्यों नहीं कर लिया गया था?
I think that's a valid question, and let me answer that. Let's go back, trace this issue in the beginning. You are aware, when this thing happened, several of them had even told many of you that they did not want to leave. I think if you look at some of the reports that have been filed by many of you, when they were asked in the initial stages, when there were opportunities to leave, at that stage they felt it's a judgment call. I mean, humans make judgment calls. It's not that it's right or wrong, but you make a judgment call. Sometimes it proves correct, sometimes things don't work out the way you want. The large majority of them made that judgment call, and you are aware this was printed in a large number of papers because they are in regular touch. That said, when things deteriorated and there was no possibility to evacuate them, then maybe some of them started changing their view. But by then, it's extremely difficult to extricate them when the land route is not available. Now, you may well ask me the question, well, if the land route was not available, how did it happen yesterday? Again, perhaps it's a valid question, but the land route is dominated by the captors. And it is the captors who can decide how and where the captives can move. There were no land routes available because the captors were not willing to allow those land routes. Once that decision was taken, it moved on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, the captors firstly informed to you the nurses will release the nurses, or it is your initiative to the captive?
I understand this is a very important bit of information that you are keen on, but let me repeat. I had said ground level operations, I will not get into who, when, where, what and how.